Because bosses are designed to put all the players' skills to the test, end-level enemies have to be distinctly arduous. Although these confrontations won't be easy, you should pull through so long as you're patient, adaptable, quick, and opportunistic. However, there are certain bosses that aren't just tough, they're cheap. Although bosses should put the player through a brutal battle, these developers went way too far. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 broken video game bosses we need to call out. Number 10. The Flower, Drakengard 3. When we say a boss is broken, it usually means an enemy is unfairly difficult. However, the antagonist of Drakengard 3 genuinely feels badly programmed. Being a hack-and-slash action-adventure game with a smidge of aerial combat, you'd expect the final encounter with the Flower to be more of the same. Instead, Drakengard 3's final moments throws the biggest curveball possible by forcing you to take part in a rhythm challenge. Just to be clear, there is no rhythm mechanics until this encounter, so this change of direction comes out of nowhere. It'd be like if The Legend of Zelda concluded with Link challenging Ganondorf to a Parappa the Rapper style battle. Although you have to commend the developers for thinking outside the box, and it is quite a beautiful sequence, this idea doesn't work. During the confrontation, there are no visual cues to tell you what to do. For the first few moments, you won't even know you're playing a rhythm game. If you can work out the audio clues, you should be able to defeat the Flower. But instead of feeling proud of your victory, you'll simply sit there, wondering what the hell you just experienced. Number 9. Doom Dragon, Golden Sun: The Lost Age. Forget Sephiroth, forget SHIN, even though those guys are renowned for being the hardest RPG bosses, the Doom Dragon from Golden Sun: The Lost Age puts them to shame. To comprehend how tough this beast is, you need to understand how this GBA title works. Throughout your playthrough, you can find magical creatures called Jinn. By activating Jinn in battle, you can boost your stats or launch attacks. If you activate enough Jinn, you can summon godlike creatures which will unleash a devastating assault on the enemy. So to beat the Doom Dragon, you need to activate every Jinn you've got so you can summon the most powerful attacks. Here's the problem. The Doom Dragon can perform Jinn Storm, disabling all your Jinn. Even if you manage to hit him with a summon, the Malevolent Serpent can use Guard Aura, cutting the damage to 5%. There's nothing worse than spending 10 minutes setting one attack only for the Doom Dragon to shield himself just before you unleash it. Then there's the Doom Dragon's most devastating move, Cruel Ruin. The Wyvern's Assault is designed so it does more damage to your party if you're at a higher level. So the stronger your group is, the more likely it'll kill you. Sometimes he executes this attack twice in a row, which is virtually unsurvivable. Number 8. Dave, Super Bomberman 5. Upon completing the second area of Super Bomberman 5, you must face off against the nefarious bomber Dave. He's not a screen-filling robot or anything, he's just a portly alien with a bowler hat. Also, obviously Dave isn't a particularly intimidating name for a boss. Firstly, the bowler sporting extraterrestrial can kick your bombs away. Secondly, he can create blocks at will. If you place a bomb beside him, Dave will manifest a block from thin air which will absorb the explosion. What's worse is there's no technique to beat him. You just have to keep laying explosives hoping one of them will hit him. Since Dave's bombs have massive range and he can collect the power-ups strewn across the arena, you're constantly on the move, giving you no time to strategize. Number 7. Shadow Queen, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. The adorable papercraft design looks like this RPG is geared towards young kids, but even the most experienced gamers will struggle to defeat many of the bosses. The main antagonist, the Shadow Queen, is exceptionally grueling since it's impossible to deal heavy damage. She keeps raising her defense so high, your most powerful moves will only knock off a sliver of health. With a single slap, she can sap your energy, recouping her strength while diminishing yours. Although blocking her attacks will minimize damage, it's not by much and requires split-second timing. Also, she can recover her health to maximum. Just when you thought the Shadow Queen couldn't be less fair, there's a section of the bout where she's invulnerable to all attacks. Although a challenging boss can be fun, the Shadow Queen is an utter slog. This multi-stage battle will take at least half an hour, even if you're equipped with every power-up and health item possible. No matter how much you're enjoying the game up until now, the fun stops the moment this battle begins. Number 6. Chef Saltbaker, Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course. When Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course was announced, fans were excited. However, they were also worried, since they knew this DLC would be filled with more bosses guaranteed to make them lose the will to live. Sure enough, the final enemy, Chef Saltbaker, is so brutal, he makes King Dice and Grim Matchstick look like a cinch. Because this anthropomorphic salt shaker is constantly moving in the background while chopping up ingredients, it's hard to tell what items on screen are projectiles and which ones are background objects. Throughout the fight, you're repeatedly trying to dodge items that can't hurt you, causing you to slam into a lethal projectile. As tough as this scrap is, it's merely the first phase. The second phase has the Sinister Salt Shaker growing to immense size, hitting you with projectiles from every direction. After that, he'll turn into a salt mass and slam around the arena trying to stomp you. For his final assault, he'll spin around the room while the platforms keep dropping off screen, forcing you to keep moving to avoid sailing into the abyss below. Basically, Saltbaker is the hardest kind of boss because he incorporates every difficult element in the game. If you haven't mastered every mechanic in Cuphead, Saltbaker is sure to serve you as the last course. Number 5. Magic Master, Final Fantasy VI. What makes Magic Master different from every other boss in Final Fantasy VI is that he can only be hurt by magical attacks. If you don't keep your MP meter well stocked, you can't win. However, the Magic Master is best known for his coup de grace. When his HP reaches 0, he will automatically unleash Ultima, which is an immediate death sentence for your party. So how do you survive an attack that's unsurvivable? Well, there is a way, but you're not gonna like it. The only way to stop Magic Master from casting this spell is to deplete his MP to nothing. After all, he can't perform a magic spell if he has no magical power left. But since this wicked warlock boasts 50,000 MP, it takes absolutely ages to whittle his magic down to nothing. Because you don't have to fight Magic Master to win the game, some players won't bother, believing this time-consuming battle isn't worth the hassle. And can you blame them? Number 4. Sigrun, God of War, 2018. Gamers expect the final boss to be tough as nails. However, it's always the optional secret final boss that's the hardest. By performing a series of prerequisites, exploring specific areas, and facing optional bosses, you'll be able to fight Sigrun, the Valkyrie Queen. No matter how tough a boss is, you should be able to beat them once you've memorized their patterns. Unfortunately, this Valkyrie has such a diverse range of attacks, you can never quite tell what she's gonna do next. Because of her swiftness, you can never ever take a breather, even when she's on the other side of the arena. If you let your guard down for a moment, she'll seize that opening in a heartbeat. If you beat the main campaign, you should be proud of yourself, but only a true God of War can say they succeeded at vanquishing Sigrun. Number 3. SHIN BISON, Street Fighter Alpha 3. There are many fighting game bosses that are infamously unfair. Seth, Galactus, Taboo. However, none of those guys are as cheap as Street Fighter's big bad M. Bison. Even though this psycho-powered dictator is a tough nut to crack in any game, the most powerful incarnation is SHIN BISON, the final boss of Street Fighter Alpha 3. Not only is he much faster than the regular version of Bison, his Psycho Crusher takes up the entire screen, making it literally impossible to dodge. If you block it, you'll still suffer damage. If you fail to block, his devastating move will eat up half of your health bar. If he beats you, which he most certainly will, there's no option to continue. Instead, the game automatically plays M. Bison's victory ending before cutting to game over. If you want to fight him again, you have to start all over. Although Mortal Kombat's Shao Kahn and Tekken's Jinpachi were cheap, at least they didn't send you back to the start when you lost. Number 2. Mr. Freeze, Gotham Knights. In your first encounter, Freeze is reasonably difficult, tries to blast you with his beam cannon and freeze you to the ground. But when you reach Blackgate Prison, the chilling scientist demands a rematch, this time armed with a robotic spider tank. When you see how little health your strongest attack knocks off this mechanoid, you'll realize this fight is gonna take a long time to complete. To do some proper damage, you need to get up real close, smashing away at the machine's legs. Of course, the longer you're in Freeze's proximity, the more likely the robot is to stomp you. Because it's difficult to decipher which direction Freeze is going to slam his mech in, you're never prepared to get out of the way. What makes this bout so arduous is how early in the game it happens. Considering you can face this mega boss in the first chapter, the player hasn't had a chance to wrap their head around the most effective combos and attacks yet. Number 1. The Nameless King, Dark Souls 3. Soulsborne games are so agonizingly difficult, it seems criminal to not mention at least one in a list dedicated to tough bosses. So it's no surprise that number 1 on our list stems from the Dark Souls franchise. After reaching Archdragon Peak in Dark Souls 3, you'll encounter one of the series' most infamous foes, the Nameless King. In the first phase, the Silent Warrior will attack you while riding his dragon. Even though his strikes are quick and merciless, you should best him if you stay on your toes. But after killing his mount, the Nameless King will absorb its power, initiating the real final battle. What makes this towering deity so ruthless is how unpredictable his attacks are. There's little or no indication when he's going to strike or from what angle. Because one hit from his electrified spear can bring your health down to nothing, a single misstep or miscalculation will cost you dearly. Even though every player walks into the Nameless King's domain looking for a challenge, no one is ready for this battle. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment box if you can think of any more broken video game bosses that need to be called out and do belong on this list. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like, you can say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm @JessMcDonnell, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more great gaming lists.